bring up Aaron Rodgers and just
Hey everyone, welcome to Packers post-game chat with myself, Tom Silverstein, and our host, LeRoy Butler, who will give us every bit of analysis on what was one of the wildest games
It
this
was.
year. I am in the press box in Indianapolis, thus wearing the mask, and there's some noise in the background, but bear with me. This was probably as tough a loss as they could possibly take, and it was such an up and down game. The emotions of it all.
Yeah.
What was your impression of how this went?
A couple things, Tom. It's the first time they scored 30 points, they lost. And they started the game up until last week drive, and they Jacksonville stopped that. So the Colts, and you knew they had one of the best defenses, not the best. But it just seemed like to me the turnovers seemed to be the difference in the game. And I know people are saying how bad the defense is, but you're not going to win a lot of games if you only score 3 points or score once in the second half. So, but they overcame a lot of the Aaron Rodgers interception, the fumbles. They overcame that, but they put themselves in position. But at halftime, things started to change a little bit, and you could see the momentum starting to change. But they still had a chance to win the game. And that's the frustrating thing about it, because both of these teams, let's be honest, the only quality win the Packers really had was the Saints. And the only quality win that the Colts had was the Titans. So this is going to be a good game. I think Phillip Rivers played one of his best games. Normally give you some opportunities. I want to talk about that real quick. It was some opportunities for God to change the complexion of the game and did not intercept the ball. It was one time that he threw it out on the out route to Jair Alexander. He broke it up, but if he picked
Absolutely, yes.
difference between a great defense and a defense statistically really is not. I think they were like top 10, but those are the plays you got to make.
So defensively, what do you do with a guy like Rivers who just gets rid of the ball so quickly? And early on, it looked like they got a little bit of pressure on him, but the routes they're running seemed like Green Bay was just a step behind.
Well, they want to do a lot of these quick routes, and what you do with Rivers that they know to get him off his spot, make him move around in the pocket. But it was a couple of times he stepped up and was able to make some pretty good plays. But it just seemed like the Pittman, the underneath routes, the one score he had, he was uncovered in a zone, and that should never happen. Those are the breakdowns that just frustrates everybody. And they also have to understand that Phillip Rivers is a guy that will give you an opportunity. And I think that's the one thing about it. But when you get an opportunity in games like this, a place you never won at, by the way, you got to take advantage of it. On the road, you must get, so that, I applaud Raven Green for come in, punch the ball out to cause a turnover, not wait for him to throw it to you. In the interception of Kirksey, they had enough things in the toolbox to win, but it just seemed like the second half, things just didn't, turn the right way. And then I thought about it. I said, wait a minute, it did turn their way, because the Colts had like 20,000 holding calls, so you can win the field position battle. So they're giving you the game, but you won't accept it. And that's the thing about it. And of course, I know people going to be all over MVS, but he made a great catch on third down, backed up. I made a great catch, but you got to put the ball away in traffic. You have to. And I think for the most part, that really sealed their fate, because if you're not making those big plays, Tom, in a row, you're going to lose games.
Yeah, and I think there's one strategic thing that caught my eye, and that was at the beginning of the second half. Pettin came out in his nickel, really kind of dime, where he's got Raven Green on the field, and the Colts came out even with double tight ends, and they just started running the ball. And I think he kind of unleashed the beast a little bit. They were not running the ball up to that point. And once they started running it, then they had to honor the run too.
No, you're right. You're right. That's a good observation, because you thought the Colts were like, anytime they're in diamond nickel, we're going to run the ball. And Jonathan Taylor, had over 20 carries. He ran hard. That Hines kid, Wilkins didn't play that much, but that was their two-headed monster. They were going to throw the ball to Hines, and they were going to run the ball with, Taylor. Then they were going to play action. And not to mention that the Packers jumped off sides quite a bit, because Phillip Rivers drew them off sides. Not having fans there, capacity, but it was fans there, but it wasn't to the capacity where it made a difference with the play calling. With the hard counts. But you can see that whenever time Aaron did his hard count, they were ready for it. They never jumped. But, Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith jumped off sides a couple times. That just keeps drives going. And you really can't do that when you're a defense trying to fight for your life and win games.
What did you think of the decision to go for it on 4th and 1, where he ended up having to try to dump it off to Jamal Williams on that play?
Yeah, I think at the time he was like 8 for 14 or something on 4th down. That's pretty good. So I don't mind the coaches being aggressive. I really don't. I think you got to be one way so the players can know what their thinking is. So I don't mind them going for it. If you make, you know how it is. If you make it, you're a genius. If you don't, people are going to question it. But I just think that, it was a play that they really wanted, but that was a one time that they doubled Devontae Adams and took him away. If they take him away, as you see, and sometimes in this offense, they take him away, you don't have anything. And I think for the most part, too, I think Aaron Jones only had 10 carries. He has to get 20 touches in every time you play a game. So I would have wanted to see the Packers run the ball a lot more than they did.
Yeah, and I don't understand why in short yardage situations they don't rely on him more. I know he's not, a big power back, but he's an effective runner. He can find a hole and scrim forward for a yard, but they just don't do it.
Yeah, a couple of times they were in shotgun. It looked like the McCarthy offense, because I know they used to do that a lot, shotgun on 3rd and 1. But the aggressive style nature is what the players like. I like it too. So at least he's consistent. But, Frank Reich was going into that game trying to be very close to the vest. He didn't want to really just open the game. He didn't want to get into a shootout with the Packers, but he ended up getting into one anyway because of so many turnovers. But again, they got, Quentin Nelson, one of the best guards. This guy had 3 holding calls. So they put you in a position to steal it. And the Packers just weren't able to get in position to win that game. I thought if they went to there's a lot of people on social media, but at the end did not want them to kick a field goal, just try to win it at that point. And had he done that, people would have been up in arms about it anyway. But
yeah.
I like aggressive style nature.
Yeah. Well, everybody on the Colts had 3 holding penalties.
I know, right?
But you know what occurred to me, and I asked LaFleur about this, was when all of a sudden your defense is on the field and the whole quarter and your offense isn't doing something, you got to do something to shake it up, right? A special teams play, a fake punt, I don't know. There just has to be something to get you out of that rut, because that momentum is just killing you.
Yeah, I think you go all the way back to the Minnesota game. They had that 10-play, 85-yard drive, and the Packers #1 in time of possession. But today the Colts won the time of possession because the Colts were thinking, we're not going to just do anything fast because that put Aaron Rodgers back on the field. So what they wanted to do was limit his opportunities. So run the ball. Even if they didn't get a lot of yards, they still just wanted to run the ball to just make sure they, grab the clock. Put the clock in your possession and put the field position in your possession. That's a recipe to win games.
Now, you made some mention of it. But do you trust MVS from this point forward?
Oh yeah, I mean that's part of the game. I mean, he's the only deep threat you really have, to be honest with you. And he's gonna get the best one-on-ones. It was a couple times during the game he was open and Rodgers missed him. And there was another time that Robert Tonyan was open in the corner. Those are the only two guys you really trust to get the ball 85 and 83. So some kind of way you just gotta hope that these guys step up and catch the ball cleanly enough to where if you double Devontae Adams, this is what's going to happen.
What do this is a game between two competing teams, one in the AFC, one in the NFC. And now the Packers got to come back and play the Bears. But, this is more of a measuring stick than that Bears game is, even though the Bears game is in the division. Yeah. Minnesota lost, so you don't really lose much ground in that sense. But boy, you just can't. You had a great opportunity to come out of a road stadium and with a big win.
And I understand Joe's question. He was saying, how can you play so good then you fall apart the second? It was a tale of two halves. The first half, you dominated the game. You're up, 14 points. And it just seemed like they just started to chip it away. You can't have 3 and outs in consecutive downs. That really hurts your offense. If you're a high power offense like the Green Bay Packers, you can't have 3 and outs, 2 times in a row because your defense is not good enough to absorb that. So I think what they're going to try to do, and I don't want fans to get ahead of themselves to think they know what the outcome is going to be in January, because a lot of people think, oh, we're just going to win a bunch of games and lose in the playoffs. You really can't necessarily say that, because there's not a lot of dominant defenses anyway. This is an uncommon opponent. I know the Saints won today with Taysom Hill, which was a good win for them. They beat a bad team, Atlanta, so they're at 8-2. But 7-3, you're still looking very good. All of your goals are right out in front of you. So you got to concentrate and understand that everybody watches this tape, and you have to correct some things. You need your core players to step up and make plays. And I was excited to see, Kevin King and Jair on the field at the same time. So if they can stay healthy, they can build off of that moving forward.
Yeah, and Rashawn Gary really kind of flashed, or more than flashed. He was actually probably one of the most dominant guys up front in the first half.
Played hard.
Yeah, and then they started to take care of him, and Zadarius Smith came around. But they need more. They need more guys up front. And once again, playing the run continues to be their Achilles heel.
Yeah, that's true. You can't average 4.5 and 5 yards a pop. That just can't happen.
Yeah. Well, it was not quite as bad as your guys' loss in '97, but it was pretty ugly, And I don't know if there are any more questions we need to answer on Facebook. Playing too far off the ball on 3rd and long.
Yeah,
feel that way? That did.
Yeah, I'm with him on that in a way. They try to bait the quarterback in. They play like a combination zone. Down the distance is very, very important. And it's little things like that. You can clean that kind of stuff up. But for the most part, I thought they hustled to the ball. I thought they did a lot of good things, but it just wasn't good enough. On the road, you really have to say this. On the road, you got to play perfect. You have to. Otherwise, that's a team that's going to be in the playoffs. Matter of fact, they're in the playoffs. But they got a very good coach, and they fought through their mistakes. The Packers fought through theirs. So who knows? Maybe it's a Super Bowl preview, and you'll know what to do against these guys again.
Who knows? Long way to go. Way to go.
Yeah. All
right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And do you have a sponsor you want to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank the Jewelry Center, of course. ShopTJC.com, GameDayBrats.com. You can get my brats. I appreciate that. I want to send a special shout out to Pick and Save for helping us feed 25 families this weekend. Ivanhoe's Pub and Eatery in Racine. You can call and pick up curbside. And, of course, you want a book about bullying, you can always pick it up, Facebook.com/Max fights bullying. It's only $10, and the money goes to a good cause. So we'll see you guys during the week, and we'll do 5 questions and get back to the oldest rivalry in sports history.
Yes, we will. And for everybody who doesn't join us then, happy Thanksgiving. And
Yes,
be safe.
yeah.
And we'll see you next time.